August 19th, Anthony. Somehow we made it halfway through another week already. I'm looking forward today because we're going to talk Thailand tourism. What do you think about that?
So halfway during the week, that's what halfway is. Wednesday evening.
It's Wednesday at noon.
Wednesday at noon. Oh, so
halfway through the work week.
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Hello, everybody, and welcome aboard to No Vacancy Live with Anthony Melchior and myself, Glenn Hausman. Great to see all of you today. Before we get started, a little show note. For some reason, LinkedIn was acting a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs yesterday, and we were unable to stream just on mine yesterday. But today, we seem to be back to normal and working just fine. And soon we're going to be figuring out a way to consolidate all of our streams so everybody could watch in one place. Anthony Melchior, how are you doing today, sir?
What's up, young soldier? It's nice to see you. So last night I'm having a drink. I'm at home. My friend calls me after he's finished with his job, and he says, "Hey, you want to go for a drink?" I said, "Sure."
Yep.
I really haven't been out too much, but there's this one place on the water I'm very comfortable with, so we went there for a drink. As soon as I sit down, I get a text from my assistant saying, "Fox News just sent you an email. They want you to be on."
Awesome.
Said, okay, so I ran out into the parking lot, flipped up my phone because technology is great, and literally in 5 minutes we did the interview. The time I got home, which was like maybe an hour later, I walk into my room and there I am on TV in a parking lot talking about. What was I talking about? What I was talking about, and it was really important for me because usually I won't do something like that so quickly. I just pass on it. But it was about having everyone that travels into New York City that's coming from out of state or out of country has to fill out paperwork so they know who they are, and where they're going, and then they have to basically quarantine for 14 days.
Right.
And apparently there's a lot of controversy.
Why?
About that. Well, I kind of
split rights issue.
I split the difference. Remember what channel I was talking to?
That's right. That's why I'm saying a rights issue.
No, I split the difference. Basically, it's necessary. On the other hand, it does it's going to curtail us opening up as quickly because people are going to go, "Oh wow, I have to fill out paperwork now." It's getting But that's the way it should be. So anyway, that's what I did. And
well, it's one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, Anthony, is that the whole notion of the hassle factor. Is it actually worth going through all this effort to go to certain places?
No,
I think that's frustrating for all of us.
I want to go to Vegas, and every day I watch, and I'm looking, I'm like, "Oh, they're still on the list. Second they're off the list, I'm going.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with traveling, but they got to be off the list. And I think that's the right thing to do. So anyway, it was very interesting, and they were very nice, and it was
excellent. So go check out that clip. I'm sure you could find it on foxnews.com. And also
it was actually New York City Channel 5 Fox News.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Awesome.
State. So let's see if we can find a link and put that up today as well. Anthony, breaking news question for you. What did you have to drink? I'm going to guess Johnny Walker Black.
I usually do, but last night it was a Michelob Ultra. I'm a Michelob Ultra fan, so I had one Michelob Ultra.
Tom, you're right. It is a hassle to get COVID. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, my daughter, we were just talking before we went live. My daughter, we just moved her into her dorm, and now we're going next week, and she's going to move in, but we were allowed to move her supplies in.
Right.
And actually, as I'm coming to do the show, my daughter said, "Dad," and I went in her room, and everything is online, so she's crushed.
Unbelievable. It's really sad that we seem to be not moving as quickly as we'd like at this point. I think all of us are starting to feel stressed out from that. All right, Maritza. I know yesterday at the end of the show you put up something asking about Chris Green. Don't worry. He has not been dissed. He will be coming back. He has a very good explanation for why he hasn't been here for the last couple of weeks. We hope he'll be here tomorrow to share that with us. But Anthony,
what's interesting is that people like him so much they actually miss him. I didn't even know he was gone. You had to tell me. So Chris hasn't been here for a couple of weeks.
Well, we're in this weird time warp now, Anthony, where every day feels the same, but somehow months are going by. The strangest Groundhog Day scenario of all time. All right, before we bring in Steve Johnson, the marketing manager for Thailand tourism. A new thing came out yesterday. A report compiled by the company TREP that was published by the AHLA yesterday. Man, this is not good news. All right, so percentage of loans that is 30 days or more delinquent in the hotel industry is up to 23.4% as of July. Last year, it was 1.3%. Wow.
Well, do you think that is, and that's why we sent out the video to Congress yesterday, and do you think it's because people are just seeing what's happening and they don't want to they want to hold on to their cash and they're just playing it really close? Or are they can't come up with it? I would say it's probably a mix.
I say it's a mix too, but I think it's probably leaning more on can't come up with the cash. I think there's these CMBS, deals that people got into seem to be inflexible, which is why you put out that letter to that video to Congress, which is why nearly 4,000 hotel industry leaders sent a letter to Congress yesterday to swiftly enact the HOPE Act, which was introduced by Van Taylor, Al Lawson, and Andy Barr. 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat. So that was pretty good to see.
So two Republicans and 1 Democrat walk into a bar, and what do they accomplish?
Getting COVID?
Absolutely nothing.
Right, except maybe some drinks. All right, enough of the political humor over here. Let's start to talk a little bit seriously.
So before we talk to the gentleman, let's tell the audience why we're having a gentleman that represents Thailand on the show.
Okay. Do you want to tell them, or should I come up with something? All right. So the fact of the matter is that no matter where you are in the country, you're dependent on tourism, possibly, right? And everyone's trying to figure out ways to engage people again to get them to get on to come to your location. So we thought talking to the Thailand Tourism Authority and understanding what their plan would be would give us great insight to what's going on in international markets, while also revealing some of the secrets that you could use to try to drive business to your hotels. Did I do that all right?
And Thailand seems to be the place that everybody I know wants to go to. And actually, a gentleman I'm writing a book with, it lives in Thailand, and we talk every morning, or not every morning, but a couple times a week, 8 o'clock my time and 8 o'clock his time. We was funny because I was doing it at 8 o'clock my time at night, or 9 o'clock at my time, and it just wasn't working for me. So he was nice enough to switch. So Thailand's a beautiful place, and he loves it, and they seem to have it relatively under control. So
let's speak to Steve Johnson.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Hey, Steve Johnson. Great to see you. It is 12:09 p.m. where you are. You're coming up from us from all the way from Forest Hills, Queens.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's like 30 miles from me, Steve.
Yep, that's where I am. Thank you for having us.
So great to see you. So you've been with them for about 10 years or so now, 9 and change or something.
Yeah,
like
almost
that?
10. Almost 10.
What made you fall in love with Thailand and want to be their marketing manager?
Gosh, that's easy. It's the people. I visited Thailand in 1993. I think I'm giving away my age. And it was always somewhere that I wanted to go. I wanted to visit. And I'll never forget the kindness and hospitality of the people. And that's what I remember. And in fact, my last trip to Thailand was in November of last year. And I had such a meaningful exchange with a Thai gentleman in a rural town called Pai. And his willingness to embrace me and to show me different things and to feed me and to talk to me, even if we didn't even speak the same language, was truly amazing. And it just re-inspired me on why I love Thailand so much. So it's the people. It's the people.
All right, before we get into some serious questions here, Steve, let me ask you one question I'm dying to know the answer to. There's hot when it comes to food, then there is Thai hot food.
Yes.
What's the deal with that? Why is one Thai chili, when it goes all the way up to 4 or 5, so much hotter than anything I've ever tasted in my life?
Well, that's a secret. That's a secret. I think that it's just the Thai way. I mean, it's the sun. It's a combination of things that makes it so hot and spicy, and it's good. It's really good. And I can tell you, your tolerance for spice goes up the more you eat it. So eat more, and before you know it, you'll be up to 5 chilies.
I absolutely love that. All right. So, Steve, right now you guys are in a tough spot. Thailand has been mostly closed to tourism. It's very difficult to get in or out of the country. But fortunately, things seem to be in really good shape within the border itself. I've got somebody that's over there. They said it's pretty much returned to normal, and you guys would like to keep it that way. What is the status there now?
Well, the good news is that domestically things are very much I would say under control. I think for the last 70 days, there have been no new reported cases due to community spread. As of yesterday, there were 3 cases that were reported, but those cases were from people who were repatriated back into Thailand. So they didn't pose any threat to the general public. And the good news is that as of July 28th, which was just last month, Thailand ranked number 1 on the global COVID-19 index.
Amazing.
As having an amazing recovery effort. And so we're very proud of that fact. And we moved from number 2 position when the survey was released in June 14th, I believe, from number 2 to number 1 now. So we're very proud of that fact, but we are not bragging about it because we understand that this big C can take a turn at any time. But the government is really taking this very seriously and is consulting with the local communities, local leaders, etc., to be able to put a plan in place that will allow us to return to whatever our new normal will be, first and foremost with safety of our population and those who come to visit, first and foremost.
So that's got to put you into a tough position because the country is doing great and you want to keep it that way. So that winds up working against you and your job of trying to get tourists to come back. So how are you coping with that when that is your main job? And what are you thinking about every day?
Well, actually, we've been on the ground hitting the metal ever since this crisis started. We continue to have share of voice with our community, our travelers through social media. From Thailand with Love was a campaign that we immediately launched to communicate in simple ways, to teach people how to cook, massage therapists, simple things that people could do at home. We also knew that we wanted to give back. And so we launched a campaign to feed the heroes at various hospitals, all in an effort to allow everyone to understand that Thailand cares. And so we've been doing a number of initiatives with live broadcasts, giving away amazing trips to some really great heroes that have been on the front lines, helping the community here in the United States. And we wanted to say thank you. We wanted to give back. And we are planning for 2021. Things are going to get better. And so we're launching and revising our co-op campaigns with our tour operator partners. We're advising and communicating and educating with our travel agent community, letting them know the new and interesting places and activities that people can do when they're in Thailand. So this is a great time for us to be able to reignite and to replant seeds that will sow fruit in 2021. And that's what we're doing. So we're very busy.
Do you feel that, I'm sorry, Anthony, it looked like you wanted to, I think I've been hogging the mic too long.
Well, no, I'm basically going to ask, it's, congratulations on, because I remember in the beginning in talking to my friend, John Walcott, who lives in Thailand, he was saying it was bad. But they got control of it really, really quick. And he was very, very impressed by what they were doing. But like Glenn said, it must be frustrating that we can't have people come over there, but that's the reason. And it's interesting because when this first started, we were like, by June we'll be fine. Then we said by August we'll be fine. Yeah. Then we said by January we'll be fine. Now we're like, maybe by the end of next year we'll be fine. It's getting crazy.
Yeah, it is. But we have to be hopeful. I think that realistically, and when I speak to travel advisors and tour operators, I always share a realistic, and to be honest, from what I've read, it seems like maybe not for 2020, but definitely in 2021, things will be back to normal and we will be accepting visitors from around the world. But, we're in a little bit of a difficult spot because we have to look at our source markets and what's going on in these source markets before we make those important decisions as to where to open. And, the government is taking it very seriously, as I said, consulting with a lot of people on the ground to make sure that this is something that is done properly. And of course, I understand the plight of the private sector because, they are feeling it and they rely on visitors coming from source markets like the United States and Europe, etc. So they're in a bit of a bind. But fortunately, the government has accepted that. And through the Bank of Thailand, there are a number of soft loans that have been provided so that they can take advantage of. So we're hopeful that, they can hang on and 2021 will be good for them.
Right. This is an interesting story to me that I think is reflective of what's going to be going on with all the international markets. And I count the United States about that too, for people that might want to come and visit here, because you all have to make these decisions about who you can and cannot let into the country and balance the needs of creating good tourism to boost your economy while also protecting the citizens of your country. I don't envy anybody that has to make those kinds of decisions that could be life and death decisions, no matter which way you go. So I'm sure you feel that that Thailand is making the right choices, but what are you doing to help educate and inform them as well, to try to get them to continue to make the right decisions as we get deeper into this?
Well, we constantly provide them with up-to-date statistical information on what's going on, particularly in the United States. We give them breakdowns by state to see what is the lay of the land here in the United States. So we keep them abreast of what's going on. We keep them abreast of research that comes out to really keep a pulse on the sentiment, the consumer sentiment, as it relates to travel. When are people going to feel more comfortable in taking a short flight or a long flight? And so we're listening to that, and we're sharing all of that information with our head office so that they too can make better decisions as it relates to a reopening date.
So anecdotally then, what are you hearing, sir, about people's comfort level about getting back on airplanes? Fortunately, the TSA has reported 2 consecutive Sundays with more than 800,000 people going through their gates. That's just the United States. That's still 1/3 of where we were before, but it's moving in the right direction. What are you seeing?
I think that people are optimistic. People are ready to travel. I don't think that they're ready to travel long haul in the next month or two, and obviously our borders are closed, but I think people are hopeful. And when you speak to industry experts like Travel Zoo, etc., and you see what offers that have been put out there and what the return on these offers has been in terms of bookings, you become very encouraged. And specifically I'm referring to hotels in Thailand that have put packages available for sale on Travel Zoo, and they have had tremendous success. And the key is flexibility, allowing the consumer to understand that yes, you can book now for travel later, but you can definitely postpone if you need to, or cancel without any sort of major restrictions. And I think that our private sector in Thailand understands that level of flexibility is required now by the consumer, and they're responding to that.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish we would have gotten there sooner as in our country. That's 100% necessary. We want them booked now, get some money in the hotel, if travel later, and make no restrictions at all. So I got a question for you. You may not be able to answer. As we know, Thailand famous for Muay Thai.
Just make something up.
Is famous for Muay Thai, right?
Yeah.
A good friend of mine is a Muay Thai champion, and so I'm always watching the different fighters that go over to Thailand to train. And right now, there's a gentleman named Roundtree who's over there, and he's training. So I watch him, and it looks like Muay Thai is open. It looks like everybody's training. Is that the case?
Well, for all intents and purposes, life in Thailand has gone back to what is our new normal. So yes, Muay Thai boxing clubs are open. You can do Muay Thai at certain hotels that have actually professional rings that you can, practice the art of Muay Thai. So things are functioning, obviously with proper protocols to make sure that social distancing is adhered to, and capacities are adhered to, and those have been put in place by the government and the administration.
And I imagine there's a lot of testing
for all of this. A lot of testing, and a lot of making sure that temperature checks, whether you're going into arriving at the airport, arriving at your hotel, at major attractions, if you're going shopping, if you're going for a massage, people are taking the necessary precautions. And of course, we are all wearing masks. That's just standard for us. We understand that.
And I was wondering about that because Muay Thai in Thailand is like football, baseball, soccer, all combined.
Really?
All combined to Thailand. It's like it's when you're 3 years old, you're in the ring kicking people.
Yeah, it's our national sport. We love it. And we're even more enthused by the fact that so many people from the outside love Muay Thai. And there's so many clubs here in the United States, even here in New York, that offer classes. And so we see it as an activity that more and more people that are visiting Thailand want to participate in or learn or try. And we're encouraged because a lot of the hotels are putting in professional rings so that their clients can take advantage of that great sport.
It's become a lot of people I know are going over there and training Muay Thai. And if I was in a different point in my life, I would go over there and train a little bit, even though I've only done a little bit of Muay Thai. But I'm glad it's getting the respect it deserves.
Yes, for sure.
Because basically the basis of MMA is Muay Thai. A lot of it is Muay Thai. Yeah. And so it's getting respect. When I met my trainer and my dear friend, Chris Romulo, who was a major guy in the Muay Thai community in North America, like no one knew about it. Now it's really become quite famous.
Glenn, you got to come to Thailand next year and do a Muay Thai class.
I would love to.
I would pay for that.
I'll just make sure I don't drink too many Mai Tais before doing the
I will pay for your trip if you go 3 rounds.
You hear that, Glenn? You got to take him up on that.
Wait,
3 rounds.
With 3 rounds with a 16-year-old Muay Thai champion.
I could drink.
We'll arrange it.
Yeah, that sounds fun. All right. So who's going to pay for the hospital bills? Fortunately, my wife did get tenure this year to school and we have great health insurance. So, hey, I'm all in. And I got to tell you, Steve, I was supposed to be in Asia right now with my family on a summer vacation. And it's very disappointing that we weren't able to do that, but put us in that group of being interested, wanting to find a way to be able to get to Thailand, for example, at some point in the future. So tell us a little bit more about that plan to get people excited about going. What are you doing to tell people that it will be okay to come and to get them past that hassle factor that we talked about, and we talked about even a little bit earlier, to get them to go on the airplanes and spend money in that country?
Well, there are 2 things. We're approaching it from 2 angles. We're speaking directly to the consumer, and we're speaking to the consumer in a voice that resonates with the consumer. So we're not being tone deaf in the sense that we're not forcing things on people, but we're educating the consumer in relevant ways. Like, for example, on wellness. Thailand is such a great wellness destination. For example, Muay Thai. We're speaking to them in the language that they can respond to, and definitely allowing them to start planning for 2021. As it relates to the trade, we're also speaking to them in the voice that they need to hear. And so today's travel advisor or even tour operator is having questions not only just about when is Thailand reopening, but what are some of the destinations in Thailand that I can now sell to my clients? They're looking for space. They don't want to be among crowds.
Right.
What can you suggest? What can you offer? And that's what we're doing. In fact, we're hosting a webinar this afternoon for travel advisors to educate them on our updated specialist program, which is designed specifically with them in mind. And so the series of webinars is going on. We're showing them and highlighting the east and northeast of Thailand, the south, the beaches, showing them different islands that they probably have never heard of before, that their clients would really like, that have the level of hotels that their clients are looking for and the services. So this is a great time for us. We're excited about it. I think the travel community and the travel trade is equally as excited because they're ready and they're eager to sell Thailand given our new normal.
Yeah, and that's important. So how do you think you'll be able to compete against some of the more traditional destinations based on what you said? Because I think I agree with you, people are going to not be necessarily going to all the big cities. They're going to be looking for something else. Seems like a door that's wide open for
what's happening in America. People are going to the ocean, they're going to the parks, and they're staying out of the big cities. So that's happening. And it's so interesting because it was such the opposite. A year ago, everybody wanted to go to the cities, and we'll take a week vacation to a nice beach or whatever, but everybody always wanted to be in the cities and go shopping or whatever. So yeah, it's interesting. How much demand are you getting from the tour? I mean, I would imagine it's the higher end tour operator that is wanting to book travel for a higher end guest that's willing to go to a destination that maybe is a little bit more in the middle of nowhere, but also a little bit more luxurious.
We're seeing a combination. Obviously, the high spenders, the luxury market is responding well. They're making plans, and they understand that the hotels that are going to provide for them or cater to them when they're in Thailand are also ready for them. They have gone through the necessary certifications, etc. People don't realize that 80% of Thailand is still undiscovered by those who come from the outside. So, there are destinations in the north of Thailand, like in Mae Hong Son, for example, that not a lot of Americans or mainstream Americans go to. But the millennial traveler, which is a segment that we go very aggressively after, they have been traveling to those parts of Thailand.
Right.
And equally, the luxury market is following suit, and they're also traveling to these obscure, emerging destinations. And so we're seeing good results from both.
Right. So what are you doing specifically to try to get people intrigued? What I'm speaking about more is, what does that plan look like when you're connecting with customers? What are some of the things that you're showing them? What are your calls to action? How are you getting them to really think about spending money on a Thai vacation?
Well, I mean, obviously we're showing the diversity of Thailand as a destination, so that you can go there and not just go there for beach, but go there for a multitude of activities. So you can have 3 different experiences in one country. We're being very focused in terms of our message, in the sense that we're not being aggressive, but we're also letting them know that there are great deals. Thailand is known as an affordable luxury destination, so there are great deals out there. And the private sector has been very aggressive in working with channels like Travel Zoo, the OTAs, etc., to put very aggressive deals out there. We're also, as the National Tourist Office, engaging the OTAs in a stronger way and bringing on partners like airline partners, for example, to make sure that we really are offering the consumer a one-stop shop through an OTA where they can go find great deals at hotels and find great travel deals in terms of air to the destination. So we've been, really trying to partner as much as we can in our outreach. We're also being very aggressive with our tour operator partners and giving them matching funds so that they can outreach to their consumers as well, whether it's be in the luxury space or in the general leisure space. So those are some of the ways that we're engaging with the consumer.
Right. Steve, people are talking about health and wellness retreats, medical tourism, all of these things that I was unaware that was part of your offerings over there.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at just medical, I mean, so many people from the Middle East, for example, and other parts of Asia travel to Thailand for medical purposes, and they combine that with a holiday, with a vacation. So their recovery process, which is usually 10 days, happens in Thailand, and if they had their procedure in Bangkok, then they would travel to the south or to the north for recovery, and their doctors that they can follow up with, etc. So that has always been a very strong part of our tourism product. In addition to wellness, and wellness can be defined in so many ways. It could be activities outdoor, it can be spa in terms of indoors, it can be just being one with nature, just enjoying the waterfalls and all the different things that we have to offer. And that is such a great and strong asset for Thailand, that we are just allowing the world to explore, and we're helping them to explore our wellness product.
I want an elephant ride.
Absolutely, and it's possible, and we say to everyone, you engage to your comfort level. So if you want to learn about these animals and they're beautiful, gentle giants, I don't know if any of you, Glenn or Anthony, have ever interacted with an elephant, but it's truly a humbling experience.
Right.
If you just want to go learn about them, walk with them, bathe them, and yes, even ride them, but ride them responsibly.
Of course.
Those activities are available for visitors who come to Thailand. And if you really do it, with the consciousness, it really is. It changes you. It really does change you.
That's beautiful. Anthony, you have a question before I bring something else?
I don't. I just, I'm mesmerized by how articulate you are and passionate you are about Thailand, and you're a great representative. So thank you. And I've been wanting to go to Thailand, so maybe one day I'll get there. Maybe one day, as our producer David said, we'll do a remote show from there.
Well, yeah. Anthony, please promise me one thing, and you too, Glenn. Please let us know when you're visiting Thailand. We would love to host you and show you exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And one thing that you will remember about Thailand is its people. So thank
For
you very
sure.
much for your time.
Hey, well, Nick, we're not going to let you go just yet
okay.
because I'm going to let you do a shameless plug. But before that, I think that goes right into this. Nick is not to be a party pooper, but may take time for countries to actually open their borders to USA customers. Those countries who open first will benefit. I definitely agree to that. Any comment on that comment, sir? No? How about
Oh,
this?
are you talking to me? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to Anthony.
It's all good, my friend.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Basically, the question is there's a lot of advantages of you opening up, being one of the first countries ready. Do you agree with that?
Yes, and I think that what the government is doing is they're looking at the region that we're in, because there was talk of bubbles that very similar to what was done in Europe.
Yep.
And they're looking at that and the possibilities under that, and then they're looking at everything else in terms of what's going on in our source markets, and then what's going on locally, which is most important. And then they are making these decisions based on that. And so I think that our community outreach and the how connected people are to the health services that are available to them, and how they're consistently checked and monitored, and information is being shared with them in terms of how to responsibly protect themselves from this virus. All of that is helping us to maintain this position as number one in terms of the outreach of one in 184 countries that has been measured by this index. So we're very proud of that fact, and we just continue to do what we do to keep everyone safe.
It's interesting. One of our fans just said that you'll be real busy when you let Americans come in.
Yep.
Yes, that is
Well,
true.
we
They know
so.
that, Justin. They know that, but we, as a community and as a country, have to do it the right way. We haven't done it the right way, and that's been the problem. So unfortunately, there's no way. As much as they want Americans to come, they don't want Americans to come any more than we want to be there. They want us there so badly, but we've got to be safe and responsible. And unfortunately, a lot of parts of our country haven't done it the right way. So unfortunate.
Yeah, Justin, maybe we'll get down to Dollywood, where I know you are. We could do a show from there first before we head over to Thailand. But Steve, I got a tactical question from our producer, David. What are some of the marketing channels you're using? Are you more focused on social media, travel ads? Where are you spending their marketing dollars, essentially?
Good question. Social media is definitely very strong for us. We continue to speak to our followers and our audience in a voice that they want to hear, and we are messaging them in the appropriate ways. So we're always socially listening to what people have to say, so that we're providing them with that information. So that's a definite huge part of our outreach. Public relations is also very, very important to us now more than ever. And so we have a very close relationship with our PR agency, and we're in constant communication with them, also trying to get out the message and the correct message, whether it be through our monthly e-newsletters that go both to the consumer and to the trade. So that is another important outreach. As it relates to the trade, we're very focused on the travel advisor. We feel that in moving into 2021, they're going to be very important. People are going to rely on them for information, for recommendations, etc. So we have, as I mentioned before, have constantly been in communication with them, because they're a very strong outreach and outlet for us. And the tour operators as well, because the leisure traffic to Thailand is a strong market as well. So the travel zoos and all the other channels that are very active, we are also active with them. So those are some of the channels that we engage. We're less about placing ads, and more about communicating directly to the consumer and engaging in a more meaningful way.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was looking down at my phone, because I follow Mia Kang, and you may know her. She's a supermodel. And she's always in Thailand, and like right now, she's like posted. Well, I can't show you what she posted, but she's always posting of her, basically exploring Thailand and showing the beauty of Thailand. And so I'm actually getting information and understanding and learning how beautiful it is through her Instagram page.
And actually, she is on a mission right now in Thailand as we speak, for the Tourism Authority of Thailand, because we are engaging her for a Trailblazer campaign that we're doing, all in an effort to speak intimately to our consumer and to speak to them in a language that they want to hear. So Mia Khan is there right now, and she's working with us to bring that message across. So I'm really glad that you're following her and she's connecting with you and giving you that message.
Yeah, and I've been following her because she actually did training. My trainer trained her here in America, did a session with her, a couple of sessions with her. So I just kind of knew, I didn't never met her, but I got to know her because she said, hey, you know, this lady. I said, I don't know. I looked her up and I've been following her. And now, like today, when I was actually talking to you, I saw a couple of her pictures look like she's actually representing the country because they look a little bit more, you know, a little bit more high end. She's using her modeling kind of posing. And so I can see it changing a little bit from her just being her, the love of the country, to her representing the country. I can actually notice that on the pictures today. So it's interesting. You must have just hired her to do that because it's the whole time it's just been her falling in love with the country. Now it looks like she's representing the country.
Well, she's working with us on a project, and so she's in Thailand right now, and she will be there for a couple months. And so her first assignment, I think, is in the north. I think that's where she is now. And then it's going to be over a couple months. In September, she will be in the south of Thailand. So she'll be pretty much going the length and breadth of Thailand to get that message out.
It's absolutely working.
And that's what we really want to do as well. We want to engage, you know, prominent people who have strong followings here and are respected here in the United States to come with us to Thailand to engage and do these activities that we speak about. So
is she from Thailand? Is her family from Thailand?
I believe she has roots in Thailand. Yes.
Yeah. Because I think she has a house there. Because for as long as I've been following her, it seems like she always goes back to this one house.
Yeah, she loves Thailand.
Yeah. So now I love Thailand because of her. So. Good job in getting her. And I was going to suggest that. That's why I looked it up.
I love drunken noodles, so I got that for me. You know, that's one of my favorite Thai dishes.
Glenn, you inspire me sometimes with your information and the things that you bring to the show. It's
I know it's the depth is unfathomable.
The knowledge and depth that you have, and the ability to just come in at the right time and say the right thing never ceases to amaze me.
I know, Steve. I know this is probably not the right thing. You'd rather talk about my love of drunken noodles, but how has this situation forced you to rethink your marketing tactics? Are the old ways going to work, or is this really a great opportunity for you to rethink everything from the ground up or somewhere in between?
It's a combination. It's a combination. We're looking at everything critically, and we're keeping the things that work for us, and we're tweaking the things that probably are not as relevant now for us. But more importantly, I think it's the message, and to be able to relate to people and connect with people on the message and on the right message. So we want to always remain very grounded in terms of listening to what people have to say, the demands, the wants, the needs, and then responding accordingly to that. We're also engaging many of our partners in Thailand in many meaningful ways, just like we did From Thailand with Love when we were in the heat of this COVID-19. We engaged our partners and helped them to relate to the audience as well, and to our public here in the United States, and in really relevant and appropriate ways. And so that's what we're going to continue to do. And what doesn't work for us, you know, one of the things that we have to find creative ways of doing now is things like familiarization trips. You know, people are going to be a lot more hesitant to travel. We don't know what the cost of travel will be, etc. So we have to find creative ways of allowing people to virtually see Thailand, experience Thailand, and those are some of the things that we're in discussions with now, and to make sure that we incorporate into our mix for 2021. We just did a very successful Thailand virtual Travel Mart at the end of July, and we had excellent feedback from it, and we allowed people to connect one-on-one so that there was this connection, human connection, so they could see each other and talk and do business, you know, virtually. And it was really successful, and things like that will now become a lot more important into the marketing mix. And other creative ways of using, you know, the internet, etc., to be able to connect and to connect in meaningful ways. Those are some of the things that we're going to definitely have to do. And
beautiful. All right. So you mentioned you have a webinar this afternoon. Can anybody join that webinar? If so, can you share that information?
It's exclusively for travel advisors, so people in the trade, because our specialist program is only travel advisor facing.
Makes
It is
sense.
not faced to the consumer.
Yep.
So, it's open to the trade.
Okay. How can people learn more about Thailand? How can people find you? All of that good stuff. Yes, it's shameless plug time, Steve.
Well, I mean, ThailandInsider.com is our website. So definitely for everything Thailand, one should go there. And of course, from there, you can go on to the many other social media assets that we have. You can also connect with us by sending us an email. And any questions that you have, we're very relevant and present on social media. So engage with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. Ask us your questions, share your pictures, whatever you'd like. Engage with us. We're there for you.
Thank you so much. Any final thoughts, Anthony? Yeah.
You're a great representative. You're a great representative. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, before you go, you sound like you're from the Caribbean. Am I correct? And
I sure am.
What country?
I was born on the. You want to guess?
I'm
not that good with accents.
Okay.
Barbados?
I was born on the island of Dominica.
All right. I see. I never would have guessed that.
I bet you, Steve. I bet you were born on the island of Dominica.
Wow. All right, Steve. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you and everything you're doing. Be good.
Thank you.
Wow, that was pretty cool. I love that we're taking a look at some of these international destinations, really learning what other people are doing, giving us more of a global insight, because this show is not just about the United States. We want hoteliers all around the world to find success, right, Anthony?
Absolutely, and I want to just make note. He mentioned Travel Zoo 2 or 3 times, and Travel Zoo is a travel newsletter that is probably one of the most powerful newsletters in the world, and basically it allows hotels and travel destinations to come up with packages and then sends it to their mailing list, which is quite large. And they basically, if you get a hotel room in New York City, it could have been not just now during COVID, but even 2-3 years ago, and it said $69 for the Plaza Hotel. The only place you're going to get that rate in the world is Travel Zoo. So they really are good at getting the lowest rate in the world. So if you're not a member of Travel Zoo newsletter, I would highly suggest it, because I've never seen packages less expensive anywhere else in the world, any other website, any other third party. They do an amazing job. And I remember when I was running hotels in New York, when we need period, everybody wants to be on Travel Zoo, right? When you're busy, nobody wants Travel Zoo. When you're period, and it was so difficult to get into the newsletter. So if I ran the Plaza and I was running, say, a $300 special plus breakfast plus drinks, they're like, no, it's not good enough because the Waldorf's going to give us $200. So it was crazy how competitive it was to get into this newsletter. And once you got into the newsletter, it just sold like hotcakes. So
wow.
It's if you're not a member of Travel Zoo, this isn't a Travel Zoo commercial, but it's a worthwhile newsletter to be part of.
But if anybody from Travel Zoo would like to sponsor No Vacancy Live here with Anthony and Glenn, just drop me a line. Also, if you're in the mood to subscribe to newsletters, why not subscribe to ours? Text the word hotel to 66866 and get a weekly summary of everything that we're doing here live on air. One of the things that we are also doing, well, I'm not doing as much as Anthony is doing, but hospitality success. Isn't that right, sir?
That's right. Thursday, 3:00. Go to Hospitality Success on Facebook Live. And we will be talking about what it takes to take a hotel from a branded hotel to independent, or independent to a branded hotel. And we're going to tell you the backstory of what I've done on Hotel Impossible. It's fun. It's amazing. And you should be there.
And don't forget to sign up for the audio version of this show. That's right. You can find us on Checking In with Anthony and Glenn on iTunes, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as a No Vacancy feed. So go ahead, do that. I want to thank you all for being here today. I know tomorrow we've got a great show. We've got 60 hotels coming on already. We got a brand coming. Yeah. Worked out really well. We had an opening. He slid right in. And tomorrow may be the incredible comeback of the one and only Chris Green. But we'll have to wait and see. Tune in tomorrow to see if that happens.
But Michael from 60 Hotels, he's going to think it's easy to get on the show now that he slipped right in on the same week. Because
I know.
We usually book 2-3 weeks ahead. What happened?
Oh, we're seriously, we can't get. We've already booked through the middle of September.
Really? Oh, we really? So what happened with Thursday? Somebody canceled?
We had a little change of plans. Yeah, that's all.
We'll just say somebody canceled. I can't wait to hear what happened. All right.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for all of the love. We really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. And remember, guys, got to make the best of things. You've only got one life, so blaze on and